Poetry Analysis by Leo Kuman. Today I will be analyzing two poems, Democracy by Langston Hughes and I Know Why a Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. But before we get to Democracy, I would like to first talk about Langston Hughes as a writer. Langston Hughes is an African-American civil rights activist, and he wrote in the 1920s. He lived right at the time of Jim Crow laws, so he experienced much personal racial prejudice and segregation. Langston Hughes always believed that his personal experiences were no different than any other African American at the time. Democracy. Democracy will not come, today, this year, nor ever, through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my 2 feet and own this land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things go take their course. Tomorrow is another day. I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed planted in a great need. I live here too. I want freedom just as you. So the first thing I would like to talk about is the theme of democracy. And there was 2 that I found. One is to take action and to not wait for other people to do it for you. And my warrant for this claim is right here. Langston Hughes is saying that he doesn't like hearing when people say that things are just going to happen the way that they are. He doesn't believe that segregation should be allowed at this time, and he's mainly talking about African Americans that think that their life right now isn't that bad, and that they shouldn't do anything about it because that would only make it harder for them. Right here, do not need freedom when I'm dead. They fear death. There might be some African Americans that are fearing death, and that's why they don't fight back, and he thinks that they should fight back because it's for the better of the entire for all the people. Now, the second central theme that I found was that if you create corrupted democracy, then democracy will be corrupted too. And my warrant for this claim is right here. He says specifically, democracy will not come today, this year, nor ever, never, through compromise and fear. Compromise and fear are 2 ways of creating democracy that you don't really want. I mean, compromise, that's not really democracy. That's just making deals with people. That's not you getting what you want and being free. And fear is definitely not freedom. Fear is just not wanting to do anything. Fear is this. This is fear, being afraid that you might die if you talk back. And now I would like to talk about some strong words and the way that they're used. Democracy, freedom, freedom, freedom. Freedom is a strong word overall. It has this symbolizing aspect. It's what we believe is good. It's what we believe is right. It's when you see freedom as a word, you think America. You think current day America. You don't think about the time period that Langston Hughes was living in. And democracy is our gateway to freedom. It's the way that we get freedom. It's the way that we think of how freedom should be. And I would also like to talk about why Langston Hughes wrote this poem, being that he is an African-American writer. Right here, he's talking about his freedom. He's talking about his basic civil rights, the ability to own land, and the ability to have control of his own body. And he's saying that he has just as much right as the next African following him, and the next white man following him, and his neighbors, everyone. He thinks that everyone is equal. And he also explains that in the last 3 lines. He says, I live here too, and I want freedom just as you. He says that he wants freedom as well, but he's saying that his freedom and your freedom, which he's talking about, the whites, should be the same freedom. Now I would like to talk about the symbolism. Freedom is a strong seed planted in a great need. Right here, the symbolism is a seed compared to freedom. And the way that I interpreted this was that a seed is like a tree seed. It's small and fragile, just like freedom when you start it up. When you start up freedom, it's small and fragile, and it doesn't have lots of backing. That's why you need to nourish it and take care of it the right way, and not through these 2 ways. You need to take care of it the right way so it can grow up straight into a large tree, and then, only then, will it become strong. Just like democracy.